What's going on? Coach Mike here from CrossFit Prototype, and I'm going to go through a little tutorial video for you on how to perform the kipping pull-up and or how to string multiple reps together. I'm going to go through some different progressions and the why behind everything. So let's get into it. So the video that you're about to see is a pre-recorded video of me doing a few reps and progressions of the kipping pull-up, and I'm going to walk you guys through that. So basically what we're going to do, and if you take a look at the video, start by jumping up onto the bar. The big thing that I'm trying to do now is just create some stillness between my body, so I don't want to be swaying back and forth. So that's the first step. So if you notice here, it's like this bar intersects my body. Everything should be in line. Shoulders, elbows, hips, and knees, in a nice straight line with my toes pointing at the bottom. So you notice I'm just trying to get still. Now that I'm still, the movement here is that active shoulder movement. So if you guys have been into some of our classes here at CFP or been coached by any of our coaches, the first thing that we're going to talk you guys through is how to get this movement initiated through the shoulder. So all I'm doing here is I'm pushing and pulling my body through the bar. So I'm pulling through, pushing back, pulling through, pushing back. So notice how my body's at an angle here. Okay, this is the position that we're going to want to get through at the top to initiate the pull for the kipping pull-up. And the same concept when we're doing a toe to bar. We want to get our body away from the bar, and that's that push back. So again, we're pushing ourselves away. The next thing that I'm going to do here, after I pause, again, I get back to that still position. If you can't just control yourself back to this still position, you still don't have control of your body. So we should be able to go into that active shoulder and get back to the still position. If not, and you start feeling like you're swaying back and forth, you're probably not controlling your body in that active shoulder where you're pushing and pulling your body away. Again, the focus here is keeping the lower body, hips, and lower body still, core tight through the midline, and the focus should be just pushing and pulling through the bar with the shoulders, like you're pushing away. So the next thing that I'm going to do here is isolate the movement of my lower body. So notice how my upper body isn't doing too much, but now my lower body and my hips are driving the movement. So my hips are pushing through, so I'm closing my hip, opening my hip, closing my hip, opening my hip. This would be the setup when we would start to progress to like a toe to bar or a knee to chest, etc. So I like to break down these two movements. Again, they're two movements. One's driven from the shoulder with the active shoulder, like I showed you in the beginning. The second is literally just coming from the hip. So I'm just pulling and pushing my hips away from the bar, and then I come back to that still position. Now the goal is to incorporate or add those two things together. So as I push or pull through, I'm going to pull my legs back, and then I'm going to push my body back. So push down on the bar and pull my hips through so I can get a more aggressive angle here. So when we're doing a kipping pull-up versus just a traditional vertical pull or chin-up, the angle in which you're pulling is going to be a little bit less, right? So we're going to be pulling from this angle versus a straight up and down angle, which ends up making the movement a little bit easier, and it shortens the distance of the pull. So pull through, push back, pull through, push back. And again, I need to swoop my hips. And notice how my legs are in line. My knees aren't bent here. Swoop through, swoop back. And again, notice how I get back to that still position. If I started to sway back and forth, that would mean that my body's a little bit too far forward or a little bit too far back, and I'm not keeping that nice rhythm of that push and pull through at the shoulder and the hip. So from here, we're going to put everything together. I'm going to initiate the kip. My hips are going to come through. Then I'm going to pull my body up. Notice how I bring my hip through. Now I'm starting to gain that momentum. So my body should feel kind of weightless at this point, and I'm just going to pull myself up to the bar. Notice how my legs are slightly in front of the bar here. So for you guys that have a kipping pull-up or are looking to string it together, once you pull your body up, the legs need to either stay slightly in front of the bar or in line with the bar. If they're still behind the bar and or too far forward, then it's going to create that swaying pattern. So again, pull through, swoop up. Again, I'm swooping those hips through, pulling myself to the bar. Again, look how my chin's over the bar. My legs are still slightly in line and or out in front. I come back through. And notice I'm a little bit more vertical here on this one. Again, swooping and pushing. swooping and pushing. And I can come right back to that still position. So again, the key takeaways here, if you want to practice the kip or if you're working to string them together, we need to be able to isolate the two movements, right? So step one is we work on the active shoulder, everything originating from those lats and shoulders with the pull through and the push away. Then isolating the hips with the pull through and close. So I should say the opening and closing of the hips, hip extension and slight hip flexion. And then putting those two together to try to get yourself to the bar. And those are some tips to be able to get a kipping pull-up and or string them together. If you need a little bit more specific coaching, please send me any videos. I'm happy to look at them and give you some insight onto how to achieve that. But I'm gonna have another video coming out with some accessory exercises to be able to work on your strength. So if you have strict pull-ups, that should be the first thing. If you have strict pull-ups, the kipping pull-up should be the next step to be able to get some more pull-up volume, or if you want to increase the intensity of your workouts. But again, you do need that raw strength before we start getting up on the bar here to initiate that kip. So I hope this was helpful, and we'll talk to you soon.